Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Up Your Experience podcast. It's your host, Blaise McBain. And with me, I have Bats. Bats, how's it going?
Well, somebody dashed all my hopes and dreams. Nah, I'm kidding. We're excited. We're here. Well, I'm not gonna ruin it, so I'll let you ruin it.
Okay, I say Bats is mad because I told him that I needed him to stop so we didn't waste content. Sorry. And we have our special guest today, Vengeance. TIH Vengeance, how's it going, man?
Going good, going good.
Okay, I have to start off with a question because typically we do like games of the week and stuff, but this is a special episode. We're going to be talking about the new SPL teams and the SPL Playin teams. But what was it like to go cast in studio, dude?
Oh, dude, that was the best thing I think I've ever gotten to do, especially related to casting. Like anything Smite related, like obviously Worlds was great this year. I think I enjoyed that the most because getting to work like with a professional team, and then we had one guy working all the cameras. His name's Mike. Really cool guy.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah,
dude works all the cameras.
You should, if you could see the entire production room, that was insane. Like, just it was actually really cool getting to go in there. So yeah, Mike, he was working all the cameras. Thankfully, most of them were like set up, so he's really just working like the one.
Yeah.
But no, that was so much fun, and like to actually have a chance to like just chill and talk with all the SPL guys. You know, not online or SWC when everyone's busy, but actually get to like chill, talk about things, and it was really cool because like day one, everyone was there, including Hindu, right? The only one who wasn't there was Trelly. He got bronchitis, and he was supposed to be the one I first cast with. So I was kind of disappointed because I was like, man, I was looking forward to casting with him, seeing what it's like. But he was sick, so you know, the guy got to get better.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched a lot of Smite that weekend. I
did
was like, yo, Vengeance is on, and then Killjoy's on, Frog's on, and I was like, this is awesome, dude.
No, the best part was day one. We were all scheduled to do like 2 casts and 1 desk, right?
Right.
Every game's going through, and it's like, oh, we're not going to have enough games to get near 7 o'clock. So they added like 4 to 6 more games or something. So I got to do, I think I did my desk with Dave. And then I did a cast with Gore, which was cool because the 2 casters, like people I worked with Mifflin and Gore in terms of SPL, I had actually worked with in season 8, but one for AGL tournament and then another community tournament. So I'd already casted with them before. But
that's one thing I do like about those two is like they have been known to come and help like cast some community tournaments, which I always think is really awesome.
Oh yeah, the actually crazy thing is like when you think of most casters, especially in most like games, you don't think of people who are willing to go cast for the community unless they're like getting a good amount of money out of it, right? These guys are actually way more willing to work with community leagues than anyone would think. They're all really cool about it. And the nice thing was like after day 2, J-Mac literally sat there after the day was over and like talked to everyone about things they could work on. So that was even more nice because like stuff that some of us maybe haven't gotten to hear. Like myself, I haven't really had anyone like who can sit there and go, hey, here's what you're doing wrong and what you need to work on. So that was actually really nice for me to hear because it's like one of the things I had actually regressed in without realizing because I had gone essentially a year doing minimal casting. The season 9 for community leagues was trash in terms of
we've talked about that a little bit, but like it was, dude, because of shenanigans on high-res side.
Well, I wouldn't call it shenanigans. To be fair, it was a rule.
Yes.
It's just something that didn't help us.
Yeah, it didn't get enforced previously, I guess is probably the better way. And then like it got abused and it led to what the reason I say shenanigans is because I felt like it could have been dealt with in such a better way. But I think it just really slammed all the community leagues at one time. And for the community leagues, it's hard, right? Because you're like, hey, like we want to offer casting, but you can't really explain to anybody why there's no casting.
Oh, wait,
which is why I started doing the freelance casting.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing was it was more of like It was the easiest fix for high res at the time.
It was.
There's no other way to put it. It was the easiest and quickest fix to do without having to do long investigations while they're trying to take care of everything. Because, like at the time, it was Jithens who started enforcing it and everything, and he was already dealing with production. Like he was doing production. He was making APIs, bots, this and that, left and right. Like everything the community leagues use it for picks and bans and anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who developed.
Yep,
that's Jithens. If anyone doesn't know that, Jithens, everything that is streamlined for community leagues, a lot of the high res stuff they use right now, especially with picks and bans, is streamlined. Jithens. He literally went in and did all that. He's
what
really
else he
good
did?
at that stuff.
He ran that huge DKO tournament that they decided to have.
Oh, did he really?
With
Yes.
minimal production help. It was
Yep.
crazy.
Yep, and a lot of that's going back to how long he was doing production himself. Because, like, when it came to Smite Prime, that was Jithens.
Yep.
Up until I think it was like the last year or two of it, where he got a couple people to help, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. He had like a few helpers, but I mean, yeah, Smite Prime was him. It was Jithens.
Yep.
Nice.
I mean, Jithens does a lot of great work. I was by no means mad at him. Like, I mean, he's having to do all this other stuff, and it's just like, hey, sorry guys, this wasn't enforced, but like we don't have time to mess with the rest of this stuff. This is just the rule that's going to have to happen.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna be honest. As much as we may not have liked the rule, I think we need to be a little bit harder on the community leagues who were abusing like how gem distribution goes. Because as a caster, like I was not accepting gems for the longest time because I was not playing Smite. Like season 10 is the first time I've actually played Smite, especially this much, since probably the beginning of season 8. If
right,
not,
I was gonna say you played a ton this season compared to what I've seen you on the last like couple seasons.
I wasn't on like season 9. I was pretty much never on. I had the game uninstalled at one point.
I even declined gym pricing. I've told Majin before, I'm like, good, I'm good. I'm cool with just like getting a cast. Like I think that's awesome. I've always wanted to do commentary. Like this is an option to be able to do that. And I don't need extra for that. Like I just want to cast.
Yeah, that's more how I view it, because it's like the gems, they're gonna go back to high res when you buy the skin.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're getting 1, maybe 2 free skins out of it, maybe 3 throughout the entire year. And obviously, there's going to be some casters who get a little more because they do more work, just a little bit better, more distribution, which I think that's fair. But for me, it's not about getting the gems; it's about the opportunity. Like you're improving your cast, and then the better you get to work with an SPL caster. You get to work with SCC. You know, that's kind of like the stages it's been for me. Is like I started off in Smite Prime, went away from the game, came back, OCL, into AGL, into suddenly I'm casting with Gore, then Mifflin, then, leading all the way to this. Now, of course, it means I'm not on the SCC team as much as I'd like to be, but...
Right.
Which, of course, when I was in Atlanta, Hindu reminded me of that. He wasn't being malicious about it.
No.
He was just like, yeah, I'm so excited to see you cast because you've always been so close. And I'm like, that hurts, Hindu. He's like, I don't mean anything mean. I know you don't. It still hurts.
Still hurts, dude. And like the thing is like you've helped people learn how to cast that are now there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's crazy to think about.
Yep. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of hurts too.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm happy for the people because I know them. I've worked with them. It still hurts.
It still hurts. I get it. I get it 100%. I feel that way about my job sometimes. And I'm like, oh, yep, that's cool. That hurts a little bit. I was gonna say my journey for casting has been this odd because I did a bunch of coaching commentary that turned into like solo casting, and then I didn't cast with people until we did So You Think You Can Cast, which you won for Chair 1.
Yep.
And that was a blast.
Yeah, by the way, I started out casting as a Chair 2, so I had to learn Chair 1.
You know what's funny about that whole thing about the So You Think You Can Cast is I was like, Majin, I want to do this. Like, I want to get better. I feel like I'm probably more of a Chair 1, but do you think I should go chair 2 and just like work on analytics and like build from there? And he's like, dude, I think your best chance to learn and grow and get more opportunities is chair 2. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go chair 2. And I did a cast with, I don't remember if it was with you. I think no, it was with Killjoy. Someone asked us, it was Asgard or Kami. They had their set casted. It went 5 games for the finals, but they had EU casters, so it went late. Like, I mean, it was like early morning for the EU casters. Like they had gone for hours, and they were wore out. And they're like, "Hey, do you mind recasting game 5?" I was like, "Sure, happy to do it." I know the guys over at Asgard or Kami. And I popped off in that chair 1 cast, and Maja goes, "So maybe you should have went chair 1." I was like, dude, I'm not beating like the guys in chair 1. I don't even think I make it as far in the competition to go in chair 1, but I appreciate it, dude. Like, I appreciate the idea.
Yeah,
I
no,
appreciate the idea.
the actual irony about that is I took a list of all the names and I went, here is the finals for chair 1.
Yep.
Here is the likely finals for chair 2. The only one that I didn't predict was Kaizo because to go all the way because I hadn't really heard his chair 2. So I only knew about him from his chair 1. So obviously there's a world of difference between his chair 1 and his chair 2.
Right.
So that it's it says a lot about if you only saw his chair 1 before, your chair, what you think of his chair 2 isn't going to be good until you hear him and realize, oh wow, he's actually really good at chair 2.
Right.
The irony
I heard
was
him chair 2, and he was
before
good.
that you were solo casting all the time.
Yeah. All the
and
time.
I popped in and was like, let's practice casting. And we never got to work together the entire time.
No, dude, I was so mad because I was like, I think I'm in finals, dude. Like, I think I made it. I think I'm in the top 2.
Dude, we all thought you were in finals.
And
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did
I'm
think
sad.
you deserved it.
I really I listened to all the chair 2 casts, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but I feel like I did it. I feel like it's gonna be me and Killjoy, which I was super excited about. And I thought Killjoy definitely had it. Like, I was like, even if I make top 2, I think Killjoy outdoes me 100%.
Right.
But the opportunity to make it that far after just solo casting for like a year, I thought was huge. And then when I didn't make it to the finals, I remember my wife goes, "Oh, how's that So You Think Cast go?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not in it anymore." And like, it was crushing because after that, a lot of the leagues kind of ended, and I haven't had the opportunity to cast much since.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah,
I'm trying to work with a couple like orgs that want casting and be like, hey, like I'll cast your guys' games every week if you can get me the game, like they give me the match IDs, like I'm happy to do it. We're trying to see how that goes.
Wait, why aren't you signing up for AGL cast?
I haven't had the opportunity to because I'm in relegations right now.
I was gonna say the rules,
and
right.
But it's also the fact of a lot of the AGL casts are usually earlier in the day. Like they'll do one at like 5 p.m. which Eastern, which is 4 p.m. my time, and with the boys, that's sometimes hard to do.
Well, they go later than that.
Yeah, I haven't looked at this season. I know last season it was more of a problem.
Relegation started at that time, but like the normal start time is going to be like 6 or 7 Eastern.
Yeah, which will be better. I'll be able to work around that a bit better. It just depends with track season how that goes.
Right.
Because track season gets wild.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But
no,
it's honestly it was funny because like I remember when we did a first cast together, you weren't sure how you were gonna do because you had never casted with someone before then. Yeah, you literally did way better than you realized.
Well, like the only time I'd done anything was like I had like one of my teammates one time. I was like, "Hey, do you want to just jump in and do coaching commentary with me?" But like that's not the same. No. You know what I mean? Like, and I really felt like I didn't do well that first cast. I was like, dude, that was rough. Like,
yeah, no, see, you think that, but I'm sitting there as the chair 1, sitting there like the whole time we're going. I'm like, he's not really missing a beat. He's doing everything he needs to do. He's talking enough. Like sitting here like, for your first time casting with someone, that's actually really, really good.
It was probably better than me. You know how they did mine? I was production for Bot G, and they threw me and said, "We don't have a caster. Have fun."
That is true. You got okay. I mean, so like, let me give some clarity before, because I helped establish and run the Bot G League.
Which I did cast for them.
We were doing our best, man. It was rough out there.
Dude, I was
a lot of people don't
I was
know.
like, what?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Like, we didn't have high res pricing. Like, we're actually paying for pricing out of our own pockets because we wanted to be able to provide like something other than just gyms.
Right.
And I think our tournaments went really, really well. Our league was rough due to people, which this happens in every single league, and that is trying. Well, I don't even want to say smurfing, just trying to abuse the fact of like you're a high level player with other high level players trying to play in like gold comp.
I call it smurfing. I had to deal with it. I will never.
Yeah, I mean,
call.
but we did have a team that was Smurfs that we had to like ban from the league.
Bot G also had Bronze League, and they had Smurfs in the Bronze League too, and it was horrible. And it's not Bot G's fault because back then I don't think Smite Guru was as capable as it is now, right?
So let me kind of clear some things up because if anybody from AGL Rallies is listening to this, I want to make sure there's a understanding because listen's the wrong word. I read people try to argue with Glacier the other day, which is one of my favorite things to do. Because like if you're gonna present an argument to Glacier, you better have proof. Like you better have spot on proof of what's going on and not just try to argue a point. Like you're gonna lose. And people were like, "Oh, well, their MMR is this." I have seen plenty of people be 2300 MMR, and they're in that plat diamond level, and they'll play in the gold league on a team because they are not good enough in comp to be above that. Ranked doesn't always establish where you should be in comp because comp's another beast.
Yeah,
100%.
That's actually one of the things people don't. Ranked does not matter. It doesn't matter. I almost wish we would kick it out of the game, and just make it at the casual queue mode and base it off your MMR there, because I'm sorry, solo queuing, duo queuing, ranked doesn't prove anything.
No,
it doesn't. I've gone into ranked in the past and trashed people who were supposedly master and grandmaster the year before, and then I get placed in gold.
Yep.
It means absolutely nothing. If you want something to prove that you're actually good at the game, get good competitively, move up the ranks that way. Like, just
I would say Duel has a little bit of a
but Duel's a different beast though. Like Duel is literally just 1v1. Like when you're talking about the other modes, like you're having to rely on a team. And you could just be really good at macro play, right? And that's going to help carry you through. Also, like if you play enough games, you're gonna rank up.
Yeah,
that's just the way of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I don't play enough games.
There's a reason why ranked is essentially casual for pro players.
Yep.
Because they will all be at the very top of the board, year in, year out, knowing it doesn't matter, playing with all their videos that they do are made in ranked, playing jank, weird builds. So it's like it clearly doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, maybe Vengeance can explain why casuals for Blaise are like ranked.
Bro, don't.
Because okay.
Don't start with
Here's the thing: is your casual MMR, especially when playing with a team, and you guys do well as a team, can actually boost you up to a better level. Like when I first swapped to PC, because of the knowledge I had, because of the gameplay I had, obviously, like because there wasn't cross progression and all that at the time.
Yep.
So my MMR got speed run
mm-hmm.
all the way up to the point where I was facing SML level players every single game. I could not queue with the people I wanted to queue with anymore because I felt bad going into a game and then both going 0-8 in 12 minutes because they're facing like at the time Sam for Soccer and Paul or Diesel and Dashboard and all C-Host and all of them, and I'm like,
yep.
I'm like, okay, I feel like there was one game I ran into what was it, Solo or Troll and his girlfriend or something like that. I don't remember.
Dude.
And we're running into him, and I got his girlfriend's at mid, and like I'm fine, but he's over the solo lane, and my friend's just not having a good time. I'm like, okay, I can't keep doing this to you guys.
I was like queuing with the guys one night, and I was like, all right, guys, let's like have a little bit of fun. I'm gonna queue Vulcan ADC. And I have not done this since, by the way, because of what happened. We matched into Wowie and his girlfriend, and Wowie was on Rama, and that man hit the fastest Rama snipes I've ever seen in my life. Like he went up, and all three of them landed. I was like, "Holy dude! Like this is not okay." I think like later in the game, I reached a point where I was like at least doing okay. But like the first 15 minutes were atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't there. You're going against Wowie on ROM with this Vulcan.
Yep, it wasn't fun, dude.
Once you said that, I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be a bad time.
That tracks. But yeah. But speaking of pro players, we have some new pro teams. And along with the pro teams, we also have our play-in teams. But I want to talk about the pro teams first because they decided to let 6 teams in. And me and Vengeance have talked about this a little bit. I kind of wish that for play-ins it was for 4 spots. I wish they'd go to like a 10-team format.
Yep.
But that's neither here nor there. They let 6 teams in. The first one being the Kings returning as they are. I don't know if either of you watched any of the Hazer interviews?
I have not.
No.
Okay, so the Hazer interviews are really good, especially about the Camelot Kings, because there was a chance that BMT retires.
Really?
And they talked about if he retired, moving Yarkor to mid, and then picking up a different ADC like Vaporish Coast. And that's wild.
Oh, that would have been okay. That I don't know about putting Yarkor in mid.
Yeah.
But bringing on Coast, that would have been an interesting team.
It would have been. But could you imagine Yarkor goes mid, plays well, maybe dominates, right? Maybe does well. Makes it to Worlds and possibly wins a 3rd ring 3 years in a row in all different roles.
And kind of be nuts.
That's
yeah,
wild.
That would be interesting. I guess I would have to see Yarkor play mid to see if
I would have to see him play mid.
Be possible or not, because it's just one of those things where like you hear it and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like we've heard of like Pandacat swapped to mid for a year.
Yeah.
He wasn't good. He wasn't
I forgot about
good
that
or anything, but he was good enough in the role for his team to still succeed. He's better as an ADC by far, but it's like him doing that, and then Twig going from jungle back to mid, that wasn't working out so well either. You know, the few players that's worked for like Baskin, Cyclone, Spin, but they only do one other role. They don't do 2.
Well, last year Yark played support, solo, and carry, which is crazy within itself. But I don't really think my expectations for this team changed much. They were pretty dominant at Worlds, and I think the only 2 teams that looked to possibly try to take a game off them was Highland Ravens at the time. In one game looked decent, but then the Bolts played pretty well one game into them as well. And kind of threw, thanks to a sick Maui ult that Genetics saw the Scepter and ulted all 5 of them. So shout outs to that.
Of all the things to notice, the Scepter, it's like, oh man, that.
Every time I hear that, it's wild. So what do you guys think about how this team's going to do?
Kings, with unless they can do what they did one of the games at Worlds and just play the early game to their advantage, and just dominate. I think early season is going to be a little rougher on them because they do the classic EU style: play it slow, wait for late game, and then fight. This season so far, you're not able to play as slow. The game will be over in 20 minutes if you try to do that. And so it's one of those things where it's like, are they going to play more of that? Like that's the thing. They did it only for one game at SWC where they played to end the game as quick as possible.
Yep.
They did it once. Every other game was, we're going to play the EU style, we're going to play it slow, calculated, late game, and we're going to win then. So the question is, can they do it more than once? Or are they still going to rely on slow and steady wins the game and see a few more losses than they expect?
Yeah, because I think with the season 10 map, and when you do this slow and steady, there's way more chance for a mess up. And then once that mess up happens, it's pretty much game over.
Well, there's also not enough farm in the entire map to play slow and steady. At some point, every single camp will be down, and you are either going to be doing nothing or having to try and gank.
Man, it's like we just talked about this.
Yeah, I just think with the way the map is, their macro play, which has been amazing, is going to have to change. It's going to have to change. They're going to have to figure out how and what they want to do when the jungle's down. Is their plan to push towers? Is their plan to dance around something and get a fight? You know, what's the plan?
They did go 8-0 for the whole tournament, so
that is won.
That is a big.
I was gonna say they won like the 3 games before too. They were all 3-0s before the tournament. So like I think they're on an 11-game win streak right now.
Which obviously doesn't matter anymore. That's reset now. We're in a new season.
It is reset. Yeah.
Well, then my question would be like whether or not they come in with a new attitude or they come in with the winning high. And if they come in with the winning high, it might cost them the whole.
No, I don't think they come in with the winning high. If you come in off with a winning high after this much time, you've got a whole other issue with mentality. Like, we're talking months apart, man. If you have a winning high months later, you have some serious issues. Like Twig and Variety, winning the first. I get, especially for Twig, it's like a huge deal. But I don't think there's any way he's sitting there just still on cloud 9 at this point. No,
I don't think so.
No, you got your team for season 10. You got to get to work. He literally said he's coming back. He wants to win another. There's no way they're not focusing on.
Can we talk about how I hate how they listed the teams out as carry, support, mid, jungle, solo, which is opposite of what you see in game?
Yep.
I like that drives me nuts. Drives me insane. It's not a big deal, but when everything else is the opposite way, it bothers me.
If you're part of production, it drives you nuts.
So,
I mean, the only time it drives me nuts as production is when I see someone do it in their spectator.
Oh yeah.
I've seen someone do it in the spectator. I'm like, oh, why are you doing
that? Get that out of here. I don't know. I think this team does well. I think they're they're going to be in the top. I don't see why they wouldn't be. It would take some type of crazy shenanigans for them not to be in the top. I would expect them to be in the top for the first phase and probably be pretty dominant as other teams get used to playing with new players.
I definitely would say that too. That's the advantage that they have is they're still.
But sometimes I don't view that as an advantage. Sometimes I'm like, well, these new players that might reinvigorate some of these people to play better or just get this new play style.
You mean like when Paul and Sam first came into the SPL together?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about the Kings. They were the Kings.
No, that's the thing. They're the team that completely stuck together. There's not a lot to say except for talking about how the beginning of the year may go differently for them. Because the beginning of the year is going to be different from the middle and the end of the year because Hi-Rez is already announced. Just like you remember when they did the vines and the fog, all those different changes. They've already announced they plan on doing big map changes similar to that. I think they're going to do. I think
they're actually bigger. From my understanding, is they're supposed to be actual different lane pathing and stuff.
No, yeah, I'm fairly certain the way they were describing it, it's that, but on a much bigger scale.
Yeah.
My hope is that either they make the map wider and wider, so they can add more.
So here's awesome.
My hope, and some people may not like this. My hope is that they actually get the jungle closer to how League does it, because I don't like that. Everyone can go into the jungle and take farm away from the jungler, or have this free insane split.
Bro, this dude is my idol. Can we say that,
Yeah.
Blaise, right now?
Yeah.
Can we just say this? Hey, can you do me a favor and talk to my mid laner?
Yeah, Bats had a rough time because Bats has realized if his camps are up and he's not by him, our mid just goes and it's like, it's mine now.
Yeah, okay. See, and that's the thing. This isn't season 9. Everyone needs to realize season 10, the mid laners should only touch the red and the 2 mid neutrals. That's it. If you're touching anything else, you're throwing the game. Carry lane, you should only be touching the purples, a roaming harpy, and the shield buff. Oh, and by the way, the first shield buff or 2 goes to your support.
Yeah,
until you are 1v1, the support takes it.
Yeah, I give it to the support.
No, I've been in a few games where I'm supporting the ADC runs in front of me. It's mine. You're not alone. Let me take it so I can take more damage for you.
I was saying
you're alone now.
The only way I take the actual bat camps on duo side is if I see my jungle is all the way across the map doing like invading, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna take these camps because right now, if I go take them, they'll be back up by the time he backs.
No, in that situations like that is fine. But in terms
most
of
people aren't thinking that way. Most people aren't thinking that way.
In terms of regular farming, it's not season 9. There's not that many camps anymore. The camps do not respawn fast enough for you to take them and your jungler come back and get them. It is not working that way. There, like we said before, there will be time when every camp on the map is down at the same time, no matter what you try to do, unless you are fighting and trying to get it on the way back, which honestly, depending on what level you are, that is not the way to farm.
Right.
Oh, I know.
All right, next up is the Leviathans. We have Zapman, Rongyu, and Shinto sticking together. But now they have Adapting in the jungle, Final K in the solo lane, and Slaney as a coach. I am curious as to how this core 3 adapts to having these 2 new teammates. Because Shinto's been known to be farm heavy, right? And I don't know, is Adapting going to want to play that way?
Well, I mean, to be fair, right now, some of the best junglers in the game are some of his best gods.
This is true.
Thor and Fenrir. We all know season 2, those were his 2 go-to. If you gave him, he won.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if he starts running those 2 again. Especially considering right now you can run Bluestone in the jungle and it worked perfectly fine.
Yeah. Even after a nerf.
Yeah. Which I'm going to say this: the nerfs on Bluestone, nerfs on Contagion were not enough. They were slight number nerfs. But if it's being done as a test to see where it sits before,
that's how bad the nerf was.
well, here's the thing: like looking at it, we can sit here and go, we know that's not going to be enough. But to be fair to them, I would rather them do slight nerfs and continue nerfing it over time than do the classic, what they're known to do, especially on gods, big nerf, big buff, instead of doing one nerf and letting it play out. That's the thing when it comes to balancing, is you can't do big nerfs and big buffs on different gods, especially if they're gods that like one counters the other. You have to do small nerfs at a time and see how it bounces, because sometimes all you need to do is nerf the better gods, and those gods that aren't as good will naturally rise up without needing a buff.
Right. Well, it's also the problem of like when we were getting buffs and nerfs on gods that were huge, like along Hercules, with buffs and nerfs on items that were huge. So then like you have this like absolute crazy change to the meta where this one god that wasn't played at all is now just played all the time. Because they got buffed and their items got buffed. I do think aggro to joining the design team along with Lermy has went a long way. It has helped drastically. But I like this team. I like this Leviathans. I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm a fan of Adapting. I'm curious to see how Final K does. Final K is known for having a god ocean per se. And I think that could make this roster a little bit more threatening than it was last year.
I like the team. Like the only downside I have, and this is just kind of a personal thing, is I don't like Slaney. And that's because I have played against him before, and he is very toxic, very toxic. And it's like, I hope that doesn't turn into some of the players that I like. Because obviously, as a Jade Dragons fan, I'm a big on Final K. I think Zapman plays great games. I like adapting. I don't know. I heard Slaney was a coach, and I was like, ugh.
This is taking a turn that I did not expect.
If you would have seen it, okay, let's put this into perspective, Blaise. I played a game with Slaney.
Okay.
And Clam was there. And then Slaney started it, and Clam, you know how Clam is.
I mean, yeah.
They were in lobby chat for 45 minutes, crap talking each other.
Interesting.
I couldn't play another game because I was waiting on this.
I see. I think that's funny. I don't know.
To an extent, it is funny. I think it depends on like what Slaney was saying.
Yeah, of course.
Whether or not, like, because there's the difference between the toxic trash talk that's just more.
It was borderline, I'll admit, but like I don't want to get too far into it because, like I said, I don't want to like throw people under the bus. It's just I have a personal grudge against him, and this guy played Loki and was everywhere.
Oh, okay. Oh, he played Loki. Okay. Well, sorry, Slaney. I like you a little less now. You can't just play Loki, man. You play Loki, you're immediately throwing something out there. Like,
he played Loki in solo lane when Loki was not a solo lane main. All right.
Oh yeah, that's a fun time. Was that when the clone like would pull all the aggro and just kill the wave? Oh yeah, that sucks.
And when the clone can body block body block.
Yeah, that's a tough time. I got nothing for you on that one.
I do think new Loki's better than old Loki, but
agreed.
Loki mains are Loki mains for a reason.
It's true.
But
it's true.
I take that as you might like it and say thank you. All right, how about that? How about that?
No, but this roster, it's for me, it's going to be all about how quickly they can mesh or not. I've seen the casters rankings. I don't agree with where the Leviathans are at compared to other teams right now, just because we don't know how this roster performs. You know, a lot of people I think put adapting on this. Oh, adapting's on the team, it instantly raises them this high. Whoa, let's slow down. Let's slow down. We got to remember, after season 3, the team he was on, things got worse and worse. United won season 4. Obey beat Energy that year.
Yes,
after that, they kept getting worse and worse and worse. Or all the other teams kept getting better and better and better. Q-Vilfred got out of school, quickly became one of, if not the top jungler of the time, especially when he was playing for Dignitas. And then Sam for Soccer comes up with Paul. They're dominating. It's like, and now Adapting's been out of the SPL for 2 years now.
He did look good at Worlds.
He did, yeah. He did
look good at Worlds.
He did look good at Worlds, but it wasn't the carry adapting that we knew from before that would guarantee they win a game.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take. Oh God, I almost made a pun on accident. It's gonna just take some getting used to. It's gonna take some adapting, just to get everything working.
You did it.
I did it anyway because I did it anyway. I had to.
No, okay, I gotta. My pun tolerance is beyond its limit because I did a cast with Thor the other day, 2 games. And
I'm sorry.
Pun after, literally. There's a reason. Like, I used to on cast. I used to just sigh or stop talking because of all the puns. And I haven't casted with him in a long time. So doing 2 games in a row and just hearing the puns, I was like, oh, he's throwing them out today. So
you're welcome. I'm glad I could. I'm glad I can help you out. It is. This is true. I just looked at the caster rankings. I don't think they're the number 2 team. Could they be for sure? I just don't think they immediately are because of that roster.
Yeah, I wouldn't say number 2.
No.
And that's not my personal grudge against Slaney. That's just knowing. No, like I said, I'm not gonna hold the players against him at all.
No, until we see adapting consistently play and this team meshing together, I am not going to rank them above number 4.
I agree.
I agree with that.
I agree. And you have to remember, early season Zap Man, you know, he just plays the game.
Yep.
Just plays the game. Actually, Vengeance, have you heard my new Smite quote?
Oh no,
because it's fantastic. All right. Sometimes Smite is played around you. Sometimes Smite is played at you. And if you're really lucky, you get to play Smite. That's it. Yeah, I think it's accurate.
All right. Okay.
It's only because I've been having a rough time, man. I get a lot of Smite played at me, you know?
You've been experiencing that, but even when I played ADC, I haven't experienced that. So I don't know what you're going on about.
I wish, dude. Since I started playing Oleron and Freya, I don't have to worry about that anymore. But before that...
okay, meta player.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to adjust to the fact I'm facing stupidity every game.
I'm still over here with like, AMC hot pick.
I got an idea. Just learn how to ward.
I have been warding, dude. I have been. The wards don't matter when I get 4-man ganked under a tier 1 tower.
What are your T2?
No. So as much of a joke as that was, the towers anger me.
I came up with a great idea. We can take a moment. What do you think that if Bastions applied a slow and or anti-heal within the tower, like the range of the tower?
Like that.
Bastions do not matter. They
don't. But if you don't take them down, you shouldn't be able to just dive me for free. There should be a consequence besides damage mitigation to the tower.
Even without Bastions, you shouldn't be able to dive a tier 1 tower early.
Amen.
I agree.
Bastions die extremely quickly to Morgan Le Fay, Kukulkan, Merlin, Baba Yaga, Zeus especially. Holy, if you haven't this good. Yeah, Neja. I mean, there's so many gods that these things will quickly fall to because of AoE abilities.
I'm taking out Bastion with Fenrir.
But my point being is, like, let's say they're up, right? I think there should be a consequence beyond, like, damage mitigation for the tower.
Or, like, the person who's in the tower gets a shield.
I'm going to be honest.
I think that would be okay.
I think there should be a DOT active at all times for enemies entering into the tower line.
I'd be about that too.
Without minions. Without minions have to enter for it to be deactivated.
Yep. I'm cool with that.
Because it's a deterrent. Like, I am so sick of these. Like, you guys have seen it when we play together. I will be Maui. I will go up into my stun. The second I cross the tower line, I'm targeted and shot at. When I'm playing mid and someone goes in the tower line, and we've seen this with Blaise getting dove before, it does not immediately target and hit. It's inconsistent. And we've also watched someone take 4 tower shots and walk on out. So
yeah, don't even get me started on that one. I'm an angry camper on that.
It isn't that the Bastions need to add something. It's just that there needs to be something terrifying about the tower, whether Bastions are up or not, that prevents an early tower dive. Like, it needs to be high risk, high reward.
Yeah, bring back the season 9 buff towers. Those things were sick.
Oh man, that was amazing. Yeah, dive my tower, fool.
Yeah,
I remember playing support and accidentally stepping in one time, and I just immediately died. And I was like, "Oh, that's right."
Yeah, I don't know why the nerf was taken away. It doesn't make sense to me. No one should feel like they are like, you shouldn't feel like I have to go back to my tier 2 to feel safe. Ever.
No. Yeah.
That should
never be a thing, especially if a god has a starter and a tier 1 item.
Yeah. Or a tier 2 item. Worried about like the abuse of the tower, like you said, then just have it to where, like, so if it does more damage when you don't have minions and just does less damage when you do have minions, because then that's an actual push. That's understandable to me.
Yeah, like there's so many different things you could do to make the towers more threatening early. I just think something needs to be done. And if they try and argue, well, that's going to be part of our bigger update later. No, it should be an at all times thing. That's one of the things that, again, people may not like it, but it's one of the things League actually does very well. It is a high risk, high reward play to ever go in. Why is it high risk? Because the tower does a lot of damage. Why is it high reward? Because even though you will have to use your flash to get out and any movement abilities to not just to get in and out if someone's under tower that you can kill, but you're still going to take damage. But the reward you get is that you got the kill. It's going to take them a while. They're missing waves. So, like, that's the decision people should have to make early. Obviously, just like in League, as the later the game goes, your tanks are tankier. You know, they're able to tank these shots a lot more. But that's late game. That's fine. You've got the items then.
I agree. It's just something that does need to change. Yeah, I mean, late game, it's fine.
Not complaining about Towers late game. As long as we can fix the early game crap.
Yeah, it's the first 15 minutes. That's really the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe in the first 10. Maybe 15 is being too crazy. I was 10 minutes for sure.
15, you're being a little too greedy because a lot of games right now are going 22 to 25 minutes at most.
I think 10. First 10 minutes.
I've got some games that have gone 30, 40 minutes because teams don't know what they're doing. But, we get those games where people know what they're doing. That game is over.
Right. Unless you're even the entire time. Because of his 4-man ganks and 5 minutes in.
Yeah, we had a team during rallies that was ganking me 5-man ganks. 5-man ganks.
Yeah.
Yep, fun times.
Yep.
But speaking of another 5-man group, we have the J Dragons.
Let's go.
Which is now going to be Vote, PBM Smite, Dardes, Lasbra, and Nika. The coaches for this team were announced to be a duo of coaches today. So it's not just going to be Cherio. The man, the myth, the legend, Sam Marbach is also going to be coaching this team, which I'm super excited about.
Let's go.
I love Sam. I actually got BM'd for being a Sam fan the other day during a game. And I have no idea why. I don't know what I did to perturb this person. But they DM'd me. They're like, "Oh, you stupid Sam Marbach fan." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, excuse me?"
How would you know?
And I was like, "Okay, like, all right, whatever, bro. You good?" And proceed to bop that person. But I'm curious to see how this team goes. I think this team might play pretty well off each other. With the Lasbra, PBM, Dardes in the mid, I think could be really interesting. But I don't know if this is going to be a top team initially. I think this is going to take some warm-up time. But I think they could be top 4. I do think top 4. You think so?
See, I'm doing top 2.
I think outside of one other team, the J Dragons will actually be one of the teams that are the easiest to mesh together. Just looking at the names on paper, obviously, because Nika plays a similar game to Fino. We've all talked about that before. So really, you're not changing too much about your solo lane. Well, I think the biggest question is going to be Dardes and Lasbra. More so, I think Dardes than Lasbra in this situation, mainly because Lasbra's been very consistent over the past couple of years as a jungler, and I think that's a really good thing. So I think they know what they're getting, they know what they can count on with him, and then I think if Dardes finds a little bit of his comfort in mid lane, Vote's similar to Panda Cat, PBM I think is going to have a perfectly fine time playing support for him. I think the one thing he's got to be careful of is being too aggressive.
Yeah.
Because if you're too aggressive, your support's going to die very quickly this year. So if he slows that down a bit, I honestly think this team is your third place team right now.
See, I'm just going with top 2 because 1, I'm still a J Dragon fan. 2, I don't know, because I've been watching PBM and his shot calling, and I still think it's really good compared to where, I guess not compared to where they're at, but I still love his shot calling and the synergy he brings.
Oh, he's very good at all that. But I'll get into why they're the third place team for me when we get to one of the other teams.
See, this is where Blaise and I have had a debate all day on our stuff. So that's why I have mine in my top 2. I'm not gonna get into it yet, but I don't know. I'm really excited to see this team, and maybe I can finally say my J Dragons win and not troll me. That's what I want. I want my J Dragons not to troll me. I don't know how many times I need to say that, J Dragons, but stop trolling me.
Well, you know what PBM says: we 3-0 unless we're trolling.
That's true. That's true. Our next team is the Highland Ravens, which were an SEC team last year. They're now going to be an SPL team. Featuring,
in name only.
Yeah, in name.
Name only. You have to clarify that. People got to remember these people are already in the SPL. It's just the name.
Yeah. Featuring Barracuda, Hurrywind, Venenu, Scream, and Haddix. And they're going to be coached by Mast. And I listened to Hazer's interview on the Highland Ravens because I'm a fan of a lot of people on this team. And finding out all the things Mast does for this team is insane. That man does a lot for the team. I am curious to see how Haddix and Scream play off each other. And listening to Barracuda kind of talk about it is like, hey, like we know the way Scream plays and how Scream wants to play. Might help take some shot calling pressure off of Barracuda and Vin and allow them just to play the game a bit better. So I am curious to see how this team does. Vengeance and I have talked about this before. I want this team to do well. I am afraid that if this team is not doing well, like mid-season, that a change will be made.
Yeah.
But I look at these names and I'm like, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good team. I know a lot of people have them in the bottom. I think they're like 4th place.
I don't. I think they're 5th place right now, mainly because one is Scream. Scream, I'm hoping you took that ego check very well at Worlds when you picked that stat and were absolutely useless. You were there was a Phoenix fight and you were at the Gold Fury pit with it down backing. Like, stop. I don't care if Bastet's your known god or whatever. I don't know what that was, but that was embarrassing to watch.
All I have to say is, you know somebody like that, and I'm only going to say Lona's mask.
Okay. Anyway, like I don't care. I don't care if Scream wants to play Bastet this season. I just want to see him better focus playing around and with the team and for the team, and not in places that don't make sense and not where you need to be. Don't just pick something because you're known for it and oh, my ego's big on this guy. Like, no. Play it because you're confident and then play it well and play it right. Don't show to be absolutely useless going all around. And yes, we can say PBM was pretty much inting in those games as well because he kept playing aggressive and wouldn't stop, even though he was constantly dying. But that's why I said earlier that I want to see PBM back off, and not be as aggressive because he was being punished for it. To me, it's going to come down to
he was trying to protect his team too. I at least want to say that, but I don't.
Right.
I don't know. But like when you're looking at the fights, he's like, I'm sacrificing myself.
Right. But there's a difference between that and roaming the jungle deep into enemy territory consistently and dying every time.
Jake.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between those two.
And we'll talk about that in a second. I am still baffled.
And so for me, Scream needs to reset. Don't have any ego about it, any gods you're playing, and just go back to playing the game. Because that's when he was his best, was when he was playing the game. And that's what made his Bastet so good, because it was so unconventional at the time. He was playing so good for the team, and that's why it dominated.
Yep.
There's one other player I'm going to say the same thing about, but we'll get to that shortly. And in the meantime, though, what's the big punishment on every team Barracuda's ever been on? Why do they lose quickly? Because Barra gets ganked nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
That's how most teams beat a team Barracuda is on, is by putting him down. Because what have we witnessed any time that he's been allowed to safely farm and box? The later the game gets, the more items he gets online for free, he starts dominating. He starts doing things like crazy. And that's what gets people excited when he starts popping off. Because it's like, oh my gosh, it's old Barra. And people start looking for old Barra and not current Barra. And I think
that's one thing I do want to talk about. I did listen to Barracuda talk about this, and he said one reason that he thinks his mechanical skill hasn't been to the point where it was at before is the fact that he's been having to shout call. And he's focusing on shout calling. Yes.
Oh, get him. No. Jeez. No. Okay. If I had known that, okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna talk to Barra here then. Hey Barra, if that's hurting your game, tell every team you're on to shove it and get a different shot caller. It don't need to be you. You're the ADC. Focus on doing ADC things. to me, Bear's best time has always been when hunters are better early because he gets to play more aggressive. Anytime he's got to focus on playing late game hunters, it seems like he's not really playing the style he wants to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if he's been shot calling, and that's a reason he hasn't been playing as well because he's focusing on so many different things. Nope.
Yeah, that's one thing he talked about is his hope with this team for him and Vin is that they were doing so much of the shot calling before, like last season, that this will take some of the pressure off them to be able to focus more on their gameplay.
Okay, if it was the mid and ADC in the past years doing your shot calling, I am very concerned about for different teams because it's not a good, because ideally it's your support and your jungler who are shot calling.
Well, and that's one thing they talked about. Like, if you go listen to the Hazer interview, like, it was kind of eye opening because, like, they talked about how some people are a little bit more of an emotional player. So, like, if they're getting bopped, they just kind of shut down. And we've all seen that in comp. You know what I mean?
I've been there.
Well, I guess they can't rely on their jungler then for this.
So I have a feeling that you look at Haddix. Haddix, I think, had a really strong presence when he was there, but as soon as he wasn't there, is when Bear and Vin had to go back to taking over most of the shot calling. Jeez Louise.
Here's the thing. I think your go-to shot callers for any team should always be your jungler and support.
Yeah, I agree.
Because your jungler is always wanting to call for ganks, and they will be one of the best people to have an eye on the map for objective attempts. Same with the support. They're the ones trying to protect, so they got to pay attention to the map already anyways. And they're also should be placing a lot of wards. So those are your two go-to. Your side lanes should be allowed to focus on boxing or farming to stay even, and then, when they hear the right communication, they go, guys, I'm teleporting. Let's do this.
Yep.
That's the whole purpose. And then mid lane, your mid laner should never be the shot caller. He's calling, hey, this guy's crossing over here. Hey, this guy's missing. Hey, this guy that he's got too much to focus around in mid lane, in my opinion. Especially when you're, as the mid laner, trying to survive, especially with how close the short the width is this year. I don't want any mid laner trying to shot call on top of everything else they're doing.
So our next team, I like them as a team. I hate their team name. And that's the Styx Ferryman. I think it's the worst SPL team name that they have. Yeah. This is Cyclone Spin, Aurora, Paul, Sino, Baskin, with Reels as a coach.
This game will be great.
Bro, I think
I'm so excited for this team.
I feel like this team's going to be cracked. I don't know if it's going to be right at the beginning of the season, but I could see this team being very, very good.
Yeah. For me, this is the number 2 team. This is the only team outside of J Dragons who will have the best synergy outside of the Kings because it is the same 4 plus Baskin.
Yep.
That's it. So you have there's not much to adjust.
No, there's not. And we saw Sino was kind of picking it up at Worlds until he got shut down by the Kings. But played well for the most part. I think with this break that before this season, that's going to go a long way in opening up that God pool a little bit because it was very limited for Worlds. I think Baskin, was coming off of over a year hiatus when playing for the Bolts last year, is only going to get better. I think this team, I agree. I think this is the number 2 team. And I would be surprised if they were not.
Yeah. I give them either 1 or 3. Because obviously I'm still going with 2 as J Dragons.
That's so weird.
I have so many things to say.
Don't say 1 or 3. Kings are your number 1 right now.
Kings are 1, bro.
No, it's like I was saying. Kings have an opportunity to be number 1, but they also have an opportunity.
Kings are number 1.
Hold on. I've already talked about how the Kings, if they can come out with that play style where they play aggressively early, like they did during one game SWC, they'll be fine. Otherwise, they're going to try their slow and steady. But that's the thing. They've shown they can do it. So
Kings are number 1.
That's why for me right now they are number 1.
So I think this team's number 2. I agree. I think I could see Jade at number 3. So we'll just kind of have to see.
And I'm going to say this. I'm putting this team at 2, but I think them and the J Dragons are a lot closer than a lot of other people may think in terms of the number 2 and 3 spot. My thing is I said this for Scream. I'm going to say it for Sino too. I'm hoping he took that ego check at Worlds pretty well when they said, "Hey, you can have Neja. Hey, you can have Thana. We don't care," because he's so bad about the ego too. He had 1 year where he was really good on it, and then what was it, Splice after, next, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna, you give me Neja and it's over, and now we see, he can have Neja and it's not a guaranteed win. So I'm hoping he decides to reel the ego back, have a little bit of humility, and get back to play. Obviously, it's not as bad as Scream, but play more with the team and yada yada yada. The big thing is just having the ego check, and hopefully he takes it well enough to come back and actually, play the game and be competitive against the Kings and not just get shut down.
Get mollywopped.
Yeah.
All right, our last team. I think this is the worst team.
Yep.
And that is Netroid, Awesome Jake, Pagon, Panatom, Solar Archoro, and Oxylidon as coach.
Yeah, this team is more assuredly for me the number 6 team now after what you said about Barrett and Ven having to do shot calling, because that tells me Jake's not shot calling, which means he's not as ready for the SPL as he needs to be if he's not shot calling.
Yeah.
And then the rest of this team, Panatom and Netroid, I'm sure they will work together fine. But you got Solo, Pagon, and Jake coming into this mix. This is going to take a minute, unless they are constantly playing together right now, nonstop.
I think it still takes a while. I think this is better than Valkyries last year, mind you. I do think that.
Well, yeah, you don't have an SCC team that just got moved up.
But I am concerned about this team. This team could be beat by one of the play-in teams. Kind of is something I feel.
I also feel like it's a high tilt team.
It's a very concerning roster. I get that they've been in. Pagon performed pretty well in mid lane. Solar Troll, he's a good solo laner. Netroid, we know, is a good ADC. And Panatom, the jungler, we all know he's good. Obviously, Leviathans last year with these guys was that man just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. They got knocked out pretty early, and that people weren't expecting that, but it happened. So for me, I think this is the no contest 6th place team right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's close. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, because I do think, like, I like Pagon, right? I think Pagon's cracked. I think Panatom's a great jungler, but it's going to take in, this isn't Shinto he's playing with in mid now. It's Pagon. Solar Troll does have that pop-up potential, but I think it's just going to take a lot of getting used to. I do have concerns about swaps for this team going forward.
Yeah. Does it say who the shot caller is for this?
No, they don't tell you. Like, you just have to figure it out.
Most people assume it's the jungle and support, but after hearing about the Bolt situation from last year, I don't have that confidence.
But this leaves us with the play-in teams that are going to be playing in, and we don't have to spend as much time on these because I think there is a definitive top 4 here. But I will go through and name everybody just to make sure people know who's playing. We have the Niflheim Wargs. This is the team that is favorited heavily by everybody to make it into the SPL. That's Stuart, Gamma, Erupt Crimson, Sanford Soccer, and Aquarius with Neil Mall coach. I think this team's cracked. I think this team is really, really good. I love Erupt Crimson. I've been waiting for Erupt Crimson to get a shot at the SPL, and I think he finally gets it. I think this team will make it, and I think it's going to be dominant.
And it's not just that. You're bringing Stewart in, who was on the Titans. He was playing very well up until the Kings, but that's everybody up until the Kings,
Yeah.
Sam looked good.
Yeah, Sam was looking good. You got Aquarius coming back. He's over in the solo lane. Gamma's coming back in support, which, depending on how much work they do together, we'll have to see how he meshes with Stewart. But it's a team that you see the names on, and on paper, you can have confidence in them during the play.
Yes. I feel good about this team. I'm excited. I like Gamma as a support, so I am excited to see this team.
Yep.
The next one's the Gilded Gladiators. This is Dude Man Bro, Inbound, Snoopy, Cure Me, Scary D with Kaiser as a coach. Yeah, that's a team. Inbound's really offended that people don't think they're going to make it in, and I just don't think they're going to make it in.
Yeah, Inbound. Sorry,
yeah.
I don't think you got with the right team to get into the SPL with. I'm going to be honest. We know about Kermie. We know about Snoopy. We know about Scary D. We know about you, and you pretty much didn't play for a year outside of like streaming and whatnot. Dude Man Bro. I've seen some concerning comments about him.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's a different conversation to have.
I was gonna say that's part of my reason of not wanting this team to make it. Is is that
even before hearing that, when you see some of these other rosters, Inbound, I'm sorry, I have a reason not to have confidence in you guys when I see these other rosters.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, man.
Good.
Inbound, I love you, but I got to be honest. I'm a realist here. I think a little more analytically about things. Prove me wrong, you know?
Yeah.
You can prove me wrong if you want to, but especially when you see the next team and only 2 playing teams can make it, I'm sorry. I can't pick your team.
If we're talking about the top 4 teams to make it, sure. I think maybe they're in.
Nope.
But I still think they get beat in the top 4 too.
Okay, if we're talking top 4, I'm sorry. I think there's 5 teams with the players they got that would beat the Gladiators.
And we've talked about that. Like I think there's a chance for them to get into the top 4. I don't think they make it. I think that there's a small chance though.
It is a small chance.
Eldritch Counts, Vaporish Coast, Quig, Benneq, Oath, Ducky with El Chuckles as coach. I think this team is really good.
Benny.
I do like this team as well.
As long as Benny buys items.
Yeah. I know most likely for the Smite fans out there, Wargs and Hounds are their top 2 they want to see in because of Stewart and Coast.
Yep.
Especially after SWC. I know I would love to see Coast in.
Hot take. I think if they don't make it in, I think Coast gets picks up if an ADC doesn't play good enough.
I can see that happening.
Because there was some other talks in those Hazer interviews that were pretty interesting. I think Coast might get in.
Quig support. Again, I think this just comes down to like the Gamma situation. How well does he mesh with Coast?
Yep.
Benneq. We know Benneq in the mid. I think he's going to be competitive against all these teams. Oath.
I just need him to play an actual mid laner.
True.
And not throw.
Oath.
And buy items.
As well. Oath for me, kind of the same situation, you know, especially in the SCC. You know, we know he can play against all these people. You know, how is he going to come out swinging? Ducky's loved, very loved.
He is loved. He is very loved. He also has the worst record as a pro.
To be fair, he was also the best player on those teams.
I know. I'm aware. I agree.
So I like Ducky. I do want to see him back in the SPL. I want to see him do it because I do think like even though he was on bad teams and he's got a bad record. He's
a good player.
Right, I think he always, especially against top solo laners, I feel like he was always competitive in solo.
Yeah, he always was.
I don't think it was ever like a man. Ducky's just bad.
Oh no. I think Ducky's good. I just wanted to make sure that we threw that out there. We threw some things for other people. I got to make sure I keep it even because I do like Ducky. I do. I just think I don't know if this team's gonna make it. I just don't.
I see So I have 5 teams that I think have the best chance of making it into the plans, and they are one of those 5.
Oh, Hounds is one for sure. I just now do they beat one of the other ones?
Right. The Wargs is a team I can say I want to see make it in. But the other 4 are so close for me that I can't actually pick one.
I agree. We have the Rue Scorpions, which has iDavy, Preds, Streak Up, Sarpe, is it Senna? And then Kerr Mikkel as coach.
Yep. And some of these guys did play during the Salt tournament.
They did.
Did they really?
Now, I have to say it. I saw Caster pick the Scorpions to make it in. I'm sorry. I don't think they do.
It was Trelly.
I think
Myth
these
picked
guys,
the Gladiators, by the way.
I saw that.
Throw that there.
I did see that.
He's a troll. He's a troll.
Well, I think he's also picking for Inbound.
I do.
But these guys, this is a good SEC team. I don't know that I see them being good enough to win play-ins, especially after Stewart and Coast both playing at SWC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, guys. I think you guys will be another year in the SEC. I think you'll be a good SEC team. I just don't see them making it.
I agree.
Now,
I agree.
I'm not saying that they won't be competitive either.
Oh, they're going to be competitive. I just don't think they're going to make it. I think it's going to be one of those like sad situations. Now, again, this is kind of why I wish that we were taking 4, because I think it would allow some of these newer players to get a lot more experience and have a chance, which I would like to see. Athenian Sages has Wowie, Privative, Jangaru, Short Fuse, Rimakami, and Teepers as a coach.
Yep.
I talked about getting bought by Wowie earlier, but just because I got bought by him doesn't think I'm think he's gonna make it in the SPL with this team, though. I
think this is a team that can do it.
I think they can, but I think it's gonna be hard. I think these games for them are gonna be, depending on what side of the bracket they're on, because I don't know about the brackets and how they're set up.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see them being long, drunk out fights.
Isn't there like a group stage phase?
I think there is. Let's look. Let me go back and read. 10 teams, double elimination bracket.
Yeah.
Seeding determined by roster council. So like they could make a run. I like parts of this team that I think they could do really well. I wouldn't be mad if they made it.
Right. Out of the 10 teams, this is one of my top 5 teams to make.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's one of the top 5 for sure. New Tartarus Titans, In My Zen, Dashboard, Nehu, Dame, and Delny, coached by Thom.
Yep. And if you pay attention to SEC at all, this is a team that these are names
Yep.
Again, top 5 team for me.
Agreed.
I would like to see some of these players in the SPL, see how well they can compete or not. Because it's one of those things, it was once you see them compete at the SPL level and see like how competitive they are or not, it'll be that definitive they were ready or not. Same how it was for the Valkyries last year. They made it in, but it was made pretty clear pretty quick they weren't ready.
Yeah, it lets you know that there is that drop off. And I've talked about it with playing against pros. Dude, the game bends differently for them. It just does. And I don't have an explanation of why. They're just better. It just don't.
Just another level of understanding.
It is.
I don't know. I I sort of have like an explanation, but it might sound stupid. But it's because so when we're playing, we have a different play style where they will go 20 minutes without having a single fight if they don't want to pick a fight. Where
I mean, like that's part of it.
We get impatient. It's like, nah, we need to be like hurting something. We need to be doing something.
That's true. It is true.
And so they have like a different mentality for that. I just want to say, because if you've ever watched it, I feel like they have more awareness for their surroundings and whether or not they can go in and
they
get
do
something instead of going in and hoping they get something.
It's one of those things. I think if you could put a eye tracker on every SPL players, I can almost guarantee you they stare at the map 10 times more than anyone else in the game.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
They will literally be clearing wave, watching the map.
Yep.
And until they decide to fight, they may glance at their opponent, but to see, if they're coming at them, but they won't really look at them like most players do. Most players will, while clearing the wave, stare at their opponent. Oh, I want to get them. I want to get them.
Well, they also use those things called wards.
That too.
So it's a twofold problem. Our next team tier is the Callan Wardens, which is Tuba, Oceans, Jossie, Elion, and Slash. Coach's Magic Feet. Oh, dude, I think this team could be really good. I like a lot of this team, and I for me, this is like definitely in that top 4. I just think it depends on like how they show up that weekend. Like Elion's been close the past couple seasons trying to make it in, and I think this team is really good.
I do too.
I like a lot of it.
This is my last team for my top 5 out of all these teams to make it in. Personally, I feel like Elion believes he belongs in the SPL, and I think if he believes that to be true, this is the year to prove it. I have casted Tuba multiple times. I think he's a good ADC. I got to cast one of his pentakills a couple years ago, which was fun to watch. Oceans, we've seen before. Joshi, we've seen before. Slash, another SEC player who performs well against SEC teams. I do think these guys have been practicing a lot together. I don't think we'll have to worry about synergy with them. Again, it kind of just comes down to, do you play your best that weekend or not?
Do you show up? That's what it comes down to.
And like I said, I don't like the Wargs. Obviously, I want to see because a few of the names like Stewart on there. I do want to see them make it in, but these other 4 teams, I can't say for certain which one will make it. I can't really even say for certain if the Wargs will make it in. If I had to pick 2, I would probably lean more towards the Wargs and the Hounds, just because Coast
I find it crazy that everybody selected Wargs.
Yeah,
I feel like that puts a lot of pressure on them. I feel like it puts a lot of pressure that if they don't make it in, that they failed.
I'm hoping the Wargs ignore that more than anything.
I do too, but you know how that can get in people's heads, and especially when you're trying to make it in this SPL, like that is something I do worry about because it puts a lot of.
I think even though that may be a thing people think about, at the end of the day, Stewart played in the grand finals of SWC.
Yep, sure did.
He can sit there and go, guys, this is nothing compared to playing in finals at Worlds. Ignore what they said. We're just going to come out and play
the game.
I can 100% see Stewart doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Our next team. I would not have picked this name. I would have definitely taken the Olympus Bolts because I am convinced the Valhalla Valkyries is cursed.
Dude, I just want to see them get somewhere. They are cursed.
This
so
team
bad,
is going to play, and it doesn't matter that I think Warchi and Rotwin are fun to watch. This team, I don't think it makes it very far because they chose the Valhalla Valkyries as their name. So it's Warchi, Rotwin, the Ray Shadow, Worst Turtle, Nil, and Sir Choco as the, I guess, Senior Choco as the coach. I'm not going to go any further than that. That's just what I think about that team.
This is a roster with some names that have been around since it was called the SML.
Yep. A lot of good names on there.
They've been up and down, competitive. But yeah, I kind of have to agree. I don't know.
I don't want to see Valhalla Valkyries this year. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to see the Valhalla Valkyries. I've been let down by their rosters by like the past 3 years or whatever. I'm good.
If they manage to make it through Playins, I hope they're allowed to change their name.
Dude, I hope so too. I'd be like, get me out.
One of the other team names.
I hope they uncurse the Valks. I hope that's
no,
the case.
Dude. If this team makes it in and they keep the Valks, yeah, I know because you have the Valks onesie.
Yeah,
if this team makes it into the SPL, they are destined to lose and be at the bottom, and that's all I have to say about it. Yomi Tanuki, Shinigami, Promise, Spreen, Grave, Rundus. Again, some names you may know. I just don't think this team makes it very far.
Some of these names, again, Salt Tournament. So you got to see a little bit of how they perform. It's kind of going to be the same for all these teams that we aren't like saying are top 5 or whatever. Is SML, SCC. They've been competitive. They've played good. At the end of the day, for me, any one of these 10 teams could make it in, but based on the teams on paper, they don't look like they have as strong a chance.
Exactly. And the last team, Jabalba Storm, Manda Warrior, who I've played against before and had a grand old time in a tournament long ago. Crit Vimana was played in that game, and Anubis ADC, just so we're clear. Dingo Dial, Vi, Valo, and Maliki. Guy J as the coach. Same story. These past couple teams. I think it's just not having as much SPL experience on the roster, knowing what it's like to play against these SPL teams, that's going to hold them back. Could they make it in? Sure. Hey, the 10 teams could. I just think it's going to be a hard road for those teams that don't have the SPL talent and or an SPL coach helping them out.
Yep.
But that's kind of the breakdown. That's all the SPL teams. That's all the play-in teams. Do you guys have? We talked about really the top 5. I really don't want to pick a top 2, but I think the Wargs is one, and after that, I think it is Hounds are favorited, but like I could see 3 other teams making it over the Hounds.
Yeah, like if I have to pick 2 teams I want to see make it, I think I have to pick Wargs and Hounds because I would like to see how Coast performs in the SPL and not just SWC against SPL. I would like to see the Wardens make it, but I mean, there's so many different teams on here I would like to see make it. I think the Wargs is just more of that certainty because they have Sanford Soccer and Aquarius and Stewart. Yep. You know, Stewart playing in finals, Sanford Soccer being a world champion at one point, Aquarius being a world champion and then coming close again at one point, if I remember correctly, at least.
Yeah, I believe so. I think you're right on that.
So, like, this is a pretty stacked roster when you think of experience and time in the SPL. They do have that advantage in terms of competitiveness and just a different level of play.
Yeah, I definitely have to go with the Wargs and Hounds. But like, if we're talking about dreaming, I'm still going with the Valks. Like, I'd like to see that curse disappear. I'm sorry.
I just want to see a different name. I'm sorry.
I do too. If they would have picked a different name, I might have gave them a higher chance. But that's the name I chose.
I never liked Valhalla Valkyries as a team name.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was cheesy. I thought it was kind of like a quick decision name. Come on.
Yep, I get it.
Yeah, that's the team name you want to go with for Norse mythology's Valhalla Valkyries.
I mean, to be honest, Valkyries is like a big major part of Norse mythology, so
I don't know.
Oh, well, all right, Vengeance. Do you have anything you want to shout out before we head out of here? Anything you want to plug or anything like that?
You know what? If you want to be able to talk to me about Smite or casting, you can follow me on Twitter at TIH_Vengeance. I stream sometimes, but I'm not gonna plug that because it's not something I have that same go-to that I used to. But if you do want to see me cast, you can follow Albion Giants League on Twitter. You can join their Discord. You can also join it's my amateur league Discord. Find plenty of different amateur league opportunities. A couple other communities that are good to play in are the Reap Smite League, Valhalla League. Not the Valhalla League anymore. It's now the Olympus Smite League. They joined up with another group, Kraken Smite League, and then I think that is it for the community leagues that I have off the top of my head. But definitely, if you're looking for opportunities for that, Smite Amateur League, join up there. Has a bunch of different Discords in it. Plenty of opportunity. If you're looking to be a caster or any member of production, again, join the Smite Amateur League Discord. Join the Casting Guild Discord. Myself, Supersonic Blur, Spooky and Frog, some of the other SCC guys, we're available to help people learn different parts of broadcasting, especially if you're looking to be a caster with a Tier 1 or Tier 2, or even desk work. We do VOD reviews, anything like that. So if you're looking to get into it, any community league will take you pretty much. And always feel free to reach out to one of us. Heck, if you've got a VOD, you can even reach out to an SPL caster and see if they're willing to do it for you.
Yeah. And I'll make sure there's links in the description for all that stuff. And you can always, like I said, you can even shoot me a DM. I'll make sure you find the right place or get in contact with the right people. I don't mind helping out any way I can on that front.
One more person I'm going to shout is Sherix and Majin Busha, because they started the AGL. And they're two of the people in the community who have believed in my casting some of the most and have constantly encouraged me to keep going outside of, other casters and Fuzzy, of course. But
I love Fuzzy. Shout out to Fuzzy.
And Majin Busha puts in a boatload of work.
Yes, he does.
AGL and for leagues and all that. He's trying to get things going. Yeah, I know he wants to go after sponsors left and right. So there's a lot of big things coming. Like they partnered with the NEC this year for collegiate. It doesn't change how the collegiate works. It's just a sponsorship for the collegiate side of things. So keep that in mind, especially if you're in high school and you play Smite. You can go to college for Smite. There are schools to do it.
True. I actually am like working on setting up an esports club at my school to help with things like that.
That's and that's the other thing. If you're in high school, go talk to your school about getting esports clubs set up if they're not already.
And if you need help, reach out to me. I can help you find some of the resources for that because I have been like slowly but surely setting that up and figuring it out.
Yeah, over in St. Louis, Dan Clerk, former owner of Enemy United. He works at Maryville University. He's been a huge part of the collegiate scene getting set up for esports. His Maryville team's been very dominant in League of Legends and Overwatch. And he's trying to get St. Louis to essentially become the esports center. He's doing a lot of things. He's trying behind the scenes, but he's one of those people that he believes in a good way of getting things set up. And I saw it again today. If we want esports to succeed at the pro level, we do need to start getting things set up in the collegiate and the high school level as well, just how we do for standard sports.
Yeah, don't let me forget to talk to you both about that. I need a list. We're trying to do it at our college, but like there seems to be confusion on what all we need, and it just don't take my word for it.
That's kind of what's happened at the high school I work at. Is like they're just like, hey, by the way, can we do this? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but it's going to take a lot of effort.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm not going to say names, but one person was like, can't we just use these 2000 model Dells to play?
No, bro.
I was like, no, don't ever say that again.
Yeah, there's, okay. Yeah, oh boy.
Yeah, we can talk about it, Bats. Bats, do you have any shout outs on the way out, dude?
I'm gonna keep going with the shout outs to all of our listeners and stuff like that. It's been a nice turn point.
Is Pat being wholesome for once?
He is.
What is this?
Hey.
It's because I just DM'd him something. That's probably why.
No. It's not even that because I did it last.
For everyone listening, this is not normal Bats, so it's kind of weird.
Listen, you start shit, there'll be shit. Okay, that's how that works. But anyways,
there it is.
I just want to say thanks to the listeners to making this all enjoyable and everything like that, and keeping this going. And a shout out to Blaise, who puts all this hard work into it, all this study and all this. Like he's the one who has the notes. I just go off the notes. Sometimes I go off on a tangent. He gets me back in line, or else we'd have like 5-hour long podcasts of random stuff.
True. It's true. That's okay though.
But yeah, and like we said on the last episode, message us, hit a like button, and just tell us what you'd like to see more of, and we'll try to make it happen.
Yeah, shoot us a review, and I'm always happy. Like if you want to reach out because you want to like try being a guest, like we'll have you on. It doesn't matter if you're a big content creator, you don't do content creation at all. Like I'm happy to help people like learn about podcasting and help you get used to like just sitting around talking to people because sometimes that's not easy to do. It's just not. Shout outs for me as always. Shout out Ash Basham, Psychotics, and the guys over at Simpy for Senpai podcast. Just a bunch of great people. If you want like anime, go check them out. Shout outs to Majin Busha for AGL, and we've been setting up an AGL DKO league, and we got some really good news about that today. Hopefully we can send that out later sometime soon. We're getting some clarity on it because we're like really surprised. And along with all that, I want to shout out Vengeance, Killjoy, and Frog for all really just helped me with a lot of casting over the past year. All were willing to give me feedback and help me get better. And I appreciate that.
If you get back to your midweek casts, like don't be afraid to hit me up. You stopped hitting me up after a couple.
Well, we ended up not having them. I did like one with, I think I did one with Killjoy, and then that was it. I just haven't had any.
Oh yeah. So if you get back into them, reach out.
Yeah, we're working on something, and if I get it set up, I'll let you know.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surprise.
But all right, let's head on out of here. We'll catch y'all later. Bye.
See you, everybody.